Women should remain silent in the churches. They are not allowed to speak, but must be in submission, as the law says. If they want to inquire about something, they should ask their own husbands at home. For it is disgraceful for a woman to speak in the church.
Samuel said to Saul, I am the one the Lord sent to anoint you king over his people Israel. So listen now to the message from the Lord. This is what the Lord Almighty says. I will punish the Amalekites.
Jésus, par ton sang précieux, enlève mon iniquité. Regarde-moi sur les cieux, dis-moi que tu m'as pardonné. J'ai longtemps erré cœur rebelle, mais j'entends ta voix qui m'appelle. Au pied de ta croix maintenant, tout confus, brisé, je me rends. Blanc, blanc, plus blanc que neige, blanc, blanc, plus blanc que neige, lavé dans le sang de l'agneau, je serai plus blanc que la neige.
Now go, attack the Amalekites, and totally destroy all that belongs to them. Do not spare them. Put to death men and women, children and infants, cattle and sheep, camels and donkeys. 1 Samuel 15.
Greetings, brothers and sisters. It is my honor and a privilege indeed for me to welcome you to God is Not White, the premiere edition airing on December 25th, 2024. My name is Jafric Haiti, and I am speaking from the capital city of Canada, Ottawa-Gatineau. It is a privilege, I say, to be spending this next hour with you, mindful that the path that has taken us to this stage has been a tumultuous one. Today, I am proposing to make an introduction to a weekly program that we are starting this evening. And I am hoping that from henceforth, every Wednesday at 7 p.m., we will gather here, wherever you are, and me, wherever I might be at the time, to share the experiences of one son of Africa, born and raised in Haiti, a Christian. Now, let us set the table. I will go over a few slides, essentially to explain the motivation for this program, and that will give you an idea of whether this is something of interest that you would find value in the presentations and the discussions that we propose to have on a weekly basis. And of course, if you do, it is my hope that you will help us promote the program and help it reach far, and particularly African people. But indeed, we think that everyone who speaks English might find something valuable in the topic. But I submit to you that the motivations are not the same for all of us, and the urgency, the importance of the topic is not the same. But I will attempt to share with you why this is not only important for me, but it is a matter of life in my perspective. And so, with regards to the presentation itself, let us start with setting the table as to what motivated us to start this program. God is not white. Why is it even necessary to make such a statement? Does it make any sense at all? As there are many people who don't consider there is a necessity to be referring to God or Creator and all of that. And who said that God is white? And why does it bother some people that if some others have said that God is white? That's what I'm proposing to share with you in 17 slides. And so I will move to the next few slides with relative speed, but I encourage you to watch the program and to share it. And if there are some slides that are necessary to see more than once, I encourage you to do that without hesitation. And so I will start with expressing my personal trajectory. Uh, and again, I believe this is central to this work. And you will see as we go along why I choose to make it such a presentation as opposed to a purely intellectual exercise, as this is really not an intellectual exercise from my perspective. That doesn't mean we're not going to, go into making the efforts, the intellectual effort to search, to verify some of the information that we're going to share with you, etc. But the motivation is not intellectual satisfaction alone. And so, and then after that, I will speak about my book, Viv Bondye Relijyon, published in 2000, linked to that, personal trajectory that I mentioned. Why did I write this book then, and why did I choose to write it in Haitian Creole? And then why, 24 years later, um, I start this program in English and have a plan to publish an English version of Viv Bondye Relijyon. And then I'll share with you a few references to really anchor the discussion that I'm proposing that we have here together. So it's very clear that my upbringing is fairly central to the discussion that we're having here. In the slides in front of you here, the central picture is that the older picture that I have of my grandparents, uh, the Reverend Jean-Élie Saint-Sainville, after whom I was named, You can see him sitting there with his wife, um, who's also from the Léogâne region of Haiti, and some of their older children who were born by 1920, when it is estimated that this picture was taken. It's very difficult. We don't know exactly the actual date and the circumstance that this picture was taken, because those pictures did not get taken on a daily basis. As Jean-Élie Saint-Sainville is the son of peasants from the Léogâne region and of modest means, although he had become a professional as an ordained minister of the Episcopalian Church in Haiti. And so his son here, Christian Sainville, you see with the navy t-shirt, he's also the person that you see on the left, my late father, Reverend Jean-Jacques Christian Sainville, who was also an ordained minister of the Episcopalian Church in Haiti. I pay due homage to these men and women who laid the foundation for the work that we are doing today. I believe that they would have done it perhaps differently, but you will see why I consider that um, this is a continuation of the search for truth, the search for justice that many of these men and women engaged in. And so I will now move to explain how growing up, watching my father at the Gun Colleen Church in southeast of Haiti, working in earnest to share what was called the Word of God with impoverished communities, while he was also doing some social work. He was not just the priest, he was the guy to give vaccination, the guy to um, help the peasants organize cooperatives so that they can get access to resources that they need to produce food, etc. Such was the work that I saw him doing, and in some privileged moments that I accompanied him, such as this summer, when he always insisted that whenever we go on vacation in Gunkulin, that we do some community work, such as teaching in the school. Some kids who give them summer lessons, and also I remember once he was working on a pool. He was organizing aquaculture, trying to attempt aquaculture in the area. And he insisted that I work in painting and decorating the well that was already also established there. That is the anchor. You can see in this picture some of the pioneers of the Episcopalian Church in Haiti. It so happens that this particular Christian denomination was established by Africans who had left the United States in the mid 1800s. Some of them passed through Canada and went to Haiti because, of course, as you might know with the history, the United States was established as a slave colony whereby the Europeans kidnapped and reduced Africans into captivity, men, women, and children. And so when the Reverend Theodore Holy, who was himself an abolitionist, after having established contacts with other abolitionists in the United States, he took the opportunity in 1851 to visit Haiti. And when he was returning 10 years later, in January 1861, he had 110 Africans, some of them who were formerly enslaved in the United States, who accompanied him all the way to Haiti. Because, of course, Haiti, having abolished racial slavery since the late 1700s and established a kingdom based on Tutmun Semun, the, the, the sanctity of every human life. Therefore, slavery was abolished. Then it became a haven of freedom for Africans, especially those from the United States. So it is these people who went to the mountains of Leogane, which is just outside of Port-au-Prince in the western department of Haiti, who, on the roots of a Wesleyan early Protestant churches in Haiti in the early 1800s, established the Episcopalian Church. Of course, they were all Africans. Theodore Holy, while he was working hard to establish the church in Haiti, became an ordained bishop, the first black bishop, and then he became bishop of Haiti and of many of these other stations that they were just establishing in Haiti. And of course, Frederick Douglass was close to these people as a U.S. abolitionist. And one of these gentlemen is the priest that you see here, the third from the left, Alexandre Baptiste, who was actually born in Georgia, but claims that his parents were originally from Haiti. And as you know, there were a lot of back and forth between Haiti, New Orleans, Georgia, because when the European enslavers would feel threatened by revolts in Haiti, they would escape to Cuba and then to the United States, Baltimore, and all of these places. And they would take enslaved Africans with them. And so, and many of these Africans, when they find an opportunity, try to return to Haiti. And that was the case for Alexandre Baptiste, who became an ordained minister of the Episcopalian Church in Haiti at the same time that the first black bishop, Theodore Holy, was establishing the church. He was basically his acolyte or supporting him, and then became an elder in the church after the passing of Theodore Holy in 1911. It's important here to also mention that Alexandre Baptiste, who was my father's godfather, so you can see a picture of my father to his right there. That's the gentleman completely on the left, Alexandre Baptiste. And on top, you can see pictures of Antenor Firmin, one of the white Americans who was pushing to get a part of Haiti in the north to be relinquished to the United States, and who was sent by the United States to try to get that land from Haiti, none other than Frederick Douglass. And Frederick Douglass, of course, was a great fan of Haiti, and his second in command when Frederick Douglass was appointed as a minister to Haiti. They didn't want to give him the title of ambassador, but that's the role he was playing. His second in command was actually Reverend Alexandre Baptiste. For those who are interested, I really encourage you to go check the archives, the correspondence between Alexandre Baptiste and Frederick Douglass, and you'll find some gems in there. And so, just like my father, or my grandfather, Jean-Élie Saint-Sainville, who there was, that's the earliest picture ever that I have of anyone in our family. It is estimated that this was in 1917 or 1918. And so this is my grandfather, Reverend. So that's the young gentleman. That's in the group picture. The young gentleman completely to the left, and two people after, it's his godfather, Alexandre Baptiste, who of course, he's more aged there. And so, just like he was an altar boy and then he became an ordained minister, well, this little picture completely to the right, that's me when I served as an altar boy, also in the Episcopalian Church, but in Port-au-Prince. So this is how we grew up. We grew up with those images that Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo, conducted out of order of the leaders of the church in Rome, which established the whiteness of God. And as you can see to the right, as I was getting older, at University of Waterloo, I was trying to correct what I saw already as a young boy to be wrong with that church to which I belong. This is my first ever painting. Um, this was from a picture. Most Haitians have one of those pictures somewhere in their living rooms of all of these white men who are said to be, the Son of God and the disciples of the Son of God, the Mother of God, and all of these white people all over our living rooms. That's how we grew up. And so when my father saw that I took uh, uh, time to do this painting as I was little. This is like acrylic, but almost watercolor. Like it's the paint is running on it. And so while I was in Waterloo, I received an envelope, as my father used to send me part of his meager paycheck uh, while I was in university, while he was working in Haiti. And one time he sent me $100 and a picture of this painting, and he encouraged me to do it over because the original was suffered water damage, etc. And so as I was doing it over, of course, I made a few corrections to the fact that I made a more multinational Last Supper than this white thing that you see on the left that we grew up with. In any case, when it came 2000, I felt the necessity to write Viv Bondye Relijyon, which translates literally "Praise God down with religion." And this program is essentially going to look at the various chapters of that book for an English speaking audience. And so, not only by the time I was writing Viv Bondye Relijyon, I could no longer identify with this white God that I kept seeing everywhere in the taps of Carrefour Feuille, of course, in the churches, in my own house, everywhere you turn was this white person. But I started to realize that it's more than that. The fact is, my ancestors, who for the most part came from the African continent, never met any Jesus other than the Jesus of Lubeck, which was a slave ship, one of the slave ships that was owned by the British royal family. Queen Elizabeth I, who worked in tandem with John Hawkins to go and kidnap Africans on the west coast of Africa, and then they enriched themselves tremendously. The picture to the right is after the earthquake in Haiti, and you can see the reverence with which my people, that is, my family members, mother, cousin, sister, brother, to this day approach this white personality which was invented by the Roman Church. Um, and no one really has been able to remove from the minds of colonized Africans this image of that white person who is supposed to be God. And so, in the major despair that the population was living after the earthquake, people were raising their hands to white Jesus. And it has been for a while now my conclusion that white Jesus is a metaphor. It is not the thing itself, it is representation of something else. And that's why in the book, I did a lot of research about what is the historical Jesus. That is, was there a human being so named, son of a carpenter, etc.? And there are many scholars, and we verified their work for what was published by the time we published in 2000. And so, what is the historical Jesus? And we will go over that in the coming weeks. However, it has been my conclusion, and of course, we will have a back and forth uh, because there are different points of view on that. But my point of view that I will argue in these presentations is that Jesus, white Jesus, is a metaphor. It stands for white power. There is not really any effort to try to establish the historicity of white Jesus because there hasn't been a challenge of it by the people who should be motivated, in my view, to question that image because of the damage that it has caused to the psyche of so many people. Of course, I started by saying the motivation for this kind of discussion is not the same for everyone. I absolutely understand that, for instance, my coworkers with whom I work in the world of science and engineering for many years, I doubt that they spend their weekends discussing that kind of stuff. But neither do they have their family members who are suffering mental illness linked to hyper religiosity. Of course, I'm not saying this only happens to African people, but in our case, it is a pandemic. Now, why is this important? I mentioned that the image is everywhere. Yeah, so yeah, you can be disturbed by the submissive, this image that you just saw there of all these grown black men kissing uh, the feet of this weird relic of the Catholic Church. But that's not where the motivation is for me. If you look at the central montage of pictures, of course, most of you are familiar with the color one, which is supposedly depicting the Son of God, Jesus, on the cross, and then his family members and disciples, being inconsolable because of his crucifixion. But I submit to you that no one can identify a date for this event. However, on the right, in black and white, this is a real picture. This is not an artist's depiction. It's a picture of Charlemagne Perrault, a Haitian patriot who was fighting against the invading white supremacist American forces in 1919. And on October 31st, 1919, a US soldier ambushed him with all kinds of others and they murdered him. And they spent the whole of November 1st, the next day, parading him tied to a wooden door. This, we have the date. It's real. It's not fake. There is no debate. But why do I contrast these two images? Well, the fact is, when my family members are singing those hymnals, like some of you might have heard the beginning of the program, that was my voice and my mother singing in tandem. Jésus soit ma délivrance. You're calling to white Jesus. Of course, we don't specify white, but it is white Jesus. There's no other Jesus in the tradition that I grew up. Be my salvation. And there's a promise that this Jesus will render us whiter than snow. Of course, we know this is figurative. It's not talking about skin color. But you cannot escape the fact that on the planet, as we do this program, there are millions of Africans who are risking skin cancer to take off their pigmentation, the melanin. You may not make a link between thousands, millions of Africans sitting whiter than snow every Sunday, every Saturday, but I am not so sure that there is no connection. But more importantly, this white Jesus, the metaphor, is an imaginary entity that never existed in our reality. And if ever he did, it would be from another people, not our people. Meanwhile, Charlemagne Perrault is neglected in Haiti, neglected in Jamaica, neglected in the Caribbean, neglected in the world. But Charlemagne Perrault is real, and he was fighting for justice, contrary to the imaginary figure to whom our people are praying day and night. And so there is a replacement of our real ancestors by imposters created by the imagination of white supremacist butchers of our own people. That's my analysis. And so, why in 2024 I start with a program titled God is Not White, and why do I choose to do it in English? Well, because the situation that caused generations of Africans to accept those realities that I've just described are going away. It was all based on fear. That Christian superstition was imposed on us by colonial violence, and it was maintained through neo-colonial violence, physical and psychological. And as you can see from this picture, there's a young generation of Africans, men and women, who are saying, listen, white Jesus is not coming. While our ancestors were being kidnapped by the Europeans on the west coast of Africa, white Jesus, of course, was not coming to rescue them as they were being taken into the Jesus of Lubeck, the Abraham, the Moses, all slave ships. And today, as Africans in the United States are being crushed by the police, by the army of their own country, Jesus is not coming. And if Jesus was to come, I am not certain he would do anything for the Africans who are being murdered in the United States, in Canada, in Europe, in Africa, in Haiti, my native land. Because it's not the job of white Jesus to do anything. It's a metaphor. It's not an actual person. And we will see that in the coming weeks. That said, let me introduce you to Pierre Toussaint. This man was an African enslaved, tortured, and brainwashed in Haiti and in the United States by white supremacists. Yet he ended up loving his torturers more than he loved his own people. So the very holy Catholic Church, in quotation marks, of course, deems this dead African to be a good candidate for sainthood, something they call sainthood in the Catholic Church. That is, human beings who would have done great things. But when you go read the stories of these saints, many of them are murderers, criminals. And in this particular case, this man, it's because he had served his masters. And you will see that this was not a singular happening. Although the men in robes are still thinking about it, they still haven't made him a saint. The fact that he is on their list provides a clear indication of the kind of non European cardinal is palpable, palpable, okay, because they were looking for a replacement for the Pope at the time I was writing this during the troubled times in the city state. The picture to the right is the tombstone of Scipio Africanus. And I will enlarge this a bit for you to be able to read it. This is an African who was enslaved in the UK. And this is what he asked that they put on his gravestone. I, who was born a pagan and a slave, now sweetly sleep a Christian in my grave. What though my hue was dark, my Saviour's sight shall change this darkness into radiant light. Such grace to me, my Lord on earth, has given to recommend me to my Lord in heaven, whose glorious second coming here I wait, with saints and angels him to celebrate. Scipio Africanus. So, yeah, but you could say, well, this was so long ago. These people have died, and surely in 2024, Africans are not thinking this way. Well, let us see where this came, the idea that Africans had to not only accept their condition of enslavement, but be grateful to their butchers who are their Lord on earth, who are the only ones through which they can reach the Lord in heaven and gain eternal life. Has it always been like that? Well, at least when we search the Bible, the book said to be the Word of God, and some of these verses are never read in church, they're never discussed, but they are there for all to consult. And so when I was writing Viv Bondye about Relijyon, I found it absolutely necessary to write it in Haitian Creole because that's the language that we all master. And I was mindful of the work of Sheikh Anta Diop, the Senegalese researcher and man of great knowledge. He said that Africans should not satisfy themselves writing and doing intellectual work to publish in English and French and Spanish. He says, yeah, we should do that, but we must also publish works for our people in the languages of our people. He was talking about Yoruba, he was talking about Ewe, Fombe, Zulu, Kosa. And of course, to me, it was important that I publish in Haitian Creole that work because the purpose is, again, not for intellectual satisfaction, but really for to make a contribution um, to this great effort that generations upon generations have been making to cut the chains that are still causing our people to not live full lives in happiness on this earth. And so Leviticus 25, verses 42-46 state, because the Israelites are my servants, whom I brought out of Egypt, they must not be sold as slaves. Do not rule over them ruthlessly, but fear your God. Your male and female slaves are to come from the nations around you. From them you may buy slaves. You may also buy some of the temporary residents living among you and members of their clans born in your country, and they will become your property. You can bequeath them to your children as inherited property and can make them slaves for life. But you must not rule over your fellow Israelites ruthlessly. Clearly, this God that the white supremacist folks have invented for themselves is a God that tells them exactly what they want to hear and justify all of their crimes. It's an ethnocentric criminal. And that's why you should not be surprised that in the collection of books that the Romans and others collected and deemed to be the Word of God, and whoever would question that would be deemed anathema, and many have died because of that. You will read things like what is written in 1 Peter 2, verse 18. Slaves, in reverent fear of God, submit yourselves to your masters, not only to those who are good and considerate, but also to those who are harsh. For it is commendable if someone bears up under the pain of unjust suffering because they are conscious of God. But how is it to your credit if you receive a beating for doing wrong and endure it? But if you suffer for doing good and you endure it, this is commendable before God. Now, this is one version, but you can also see Colossians, Ephesians, 1 Timothy, 1 Peter, Titus. It's in the Old Testament, it's in the New Testament. It doesn't matter wherever you look. The justification for racial slavery was easy for the Europeans because their book and the God that they have imposed on everyone was a slave making God. Let's contrast that with what happened on the island of Haiti. This is the Haitian Constitution promulgated on the 20th of May, 1805. We, Henri Christophe, Clairvaux, Vernet, etc., as well as in our name as in that of the people of Haiti, who have legally constituted us faithfully organs and interpreters of their will, in presence of the Supreme Being, before whom all mankind are equal, and who has scattered so many species of creatures on the surface of the earth for the purpose of manifesting his glory and his power by the diversity of his works in the presence of all nature, by whom we have been so unjustly and for so long a time considered as outcast children, do declare that the tenor of the present Constitution is the free, spontaneous, and invariable expression of our hearts and the general will of our constituents, and we submit it to the sanction of His Majesty the Emperor Jacques Dessalines, our deliverer, to receive its speedy and entire execution. And that Constitution states in its preliminary declaration, Article 1, the people inhabiting the island formerly called Santo Domingo hereby agree to form themselves into a free state, sovereign and independent of any other power in the universe, under the name of Empire of Haiti. Article 2, slavery is forever abolished. Now, of course, I mentioned Frederick Douglass earlier. He was delivering a lecture in 1893. Late in his life, he had actually decided to quit his post in Haiti because he said um, the white power in the United States was asking him to commit a crime against Haiti, and he could not do so. And in that speech, Frederick Douglass said, until Haiti spoke, until she spoke, no Christian nation had abolished Negro slavery. The slave ship followed by hungry sharks, greedy to devour the dead and dying slaves, flung overboard to feed them. Plowed in peace the South Atlantic, painting the sea with the Negro's blood. Frederick Douglass. And so, this is what I will present to you. Chapter 1 deals with God. What is my definition of God? What is my understanding of God? And why do I say this God that I perceive is deserving of praise? I say God is mother of life and knowledge. But I ask, God has a chosen people? And I will explain in the book why this makes absolutely no sense. It never did, it doesn't, and it never will. In chapter 2, I discuss religion. How did Christianity land in Haiti? How was Christianity established? So few Christians study the history of the religion that they're practicing. And so I was shocked by some of the things that I found when I did this little research. Human fingerprints all over the Bible, true or false? We ask the questions and we'll share them with you, and you will make up your own mind. Why are priests and pastors silent on these issues? And I discuss the works of Reverend Martin Luther King and others in that section. In chapter 3, because the object is, again, like I said, not about doing the intellectual work, but it's really okay to lead to freedom and truth as we understand it. And we come to the conclusion that God and religion are not only different, but God and religion are like day and night. And I speak about the double deceit. For those in the Haitian community who understand Creole, we say double menti fait des cabesses. And we will discuss the two deceits. God is white, whiteness is godly. Two different deceits, but two connected twins. Why does Haiti still crumble under superstitious beliefs? And here I'm not talking about voodoo, I'm talking about Christianity, a white supremacist superstition. Freedom, yours to take. And then I end up with some definitions and references, such as the book, The Rescue of Jerusalem, written by a white Jewish Canadian in Montreal, Henri Aubin. And so, what do I propose for the coming weeks? I found this quote from Sir Isaac Newton to be interesting. He said, "What we know is a drop, what we don't know is an ocean." Another way to say, I know that I don't know, which is the African wisdom. Indeed, I will not invent anything in the presentations that I shall make. And you will see that very early as I discuss what is my definition of God. Um, I don't believe that there is a necessity to force any beliefs or invent knowledges that we don't know. However, I published this book in 2000, and now it's been 24 years. At the time, if you consult some of the publications that were made about the book, some people said this man must be crazy. One of the places where you can see this is on the web, where there is a publication called No to Organized Religion. I reproduce it on my website, godisnotwhite.com, or if you go jafricahaiti.com, you will find it. But essentially, what I'm saying, and that's the article there, there were people who were saying, clearly this guy must be out of his mind. It must be filled with theological errors. Anyways, I really encourage you to make up your own mind. And if you feel free enough to do your research, go and check out this article by Brian Stevens, who was published when my book just came out. And he was discussing some of the reactions in the Haitian community. Of course, not everybody was embracing the book. However, I submit to you that me turning my back to European superstition, as if, through this picture in Brazil, it's a personal thing, and I don't pretend or that folks must agree with what I say. But I think we can have a healthy conversation. And so, some references that I would recommend: books by Sheikh Antajab. I just put one there, Civilization and or Barbarism. That's just one of many books. There's the book by Chairman Omali Yeshitela, which has a compilation of works, including one article that I wrote about the situation in Haiti, but that deals also with the fact that this is a clash of civilization. It's not just that the Haitians were proposing, something that counters Christianity. It's completely different. One was established on the enslavement of other human beings. The other one said, no, racial slavery or slavery is abolished. Dark Threats and White Nights, a book by a Canadian writer, Shireen Razak. The Rescue of Jerusalem that I mentioned earlier, Les Marrons de la Liberté of Jean Fouchard. It's possible that Les Marrons de la Liberté is available in English. Haiti, Poésie philosophique pour décolonisation mentale, Dr. Jean-Bertrand Aristide, former president of Haiti. This book is also available in English. It has a foreword by Dr. Molifikete Asante, which I translated in Creole in the Creole language version of Dr. Aristide's book. My Viv Bondye about Relijyon, and for those who speak Haitian Creole, the La Fimesides and La Férocité Blanche, génocide occulté de 1492 à nos jours. A very important book. If you speak French, I really recommend Amélia Poumele Uribe's book, and in French also, Le Crime de Napoléon of Claude Ribes. And so my website, jafricahaiti.com, as you saw there, is a place where I will be putting regular works. When you're on the website, you can consult the English section, and if you go to purchase, you will find information about the works that we publish, including the book Viv Bondye about Relijyon, which is now only available in Haitian Creole. So that's the essence of what I wanted to present today. I really would like to have your thoughts on, going forward, some suggestions of how you think it would be best to lead this discussion. Of course, I invite you to write your comments while the show is happening. I see a number of you have already typed on YouTube, etc. Please continue to do that, and I will go and try to answer some of your questions. For tonight, of course, I will not be taking any calls or answer the comments that are coming as you are online, but I will really consider some of the things you might propose that we do as the weeks go by and we systematically go through the chapters of the book. And so I would like you to really take at heart my request for feedback, because I will adjust according to some of the feedback that you provide. Again, please, if you do have family members, folks who are very much engaged in this type of thinking right now, to invite them to participate in this program. As I said earlier, not everybody have a need for this, but for those of us who are of African origin, I think we would be making a mistake if we're not having these conversations. A lot of young people out there who are discouraged, they're looking for answers, and we cannot, scare them away, with like, no, this is a sin. No, that kind of thinking is not gonna cut it. People all around the world are demanding knowledge, and you cannot, offer them, answers that are clearly not satisfactory. This was my contribution for tonight. I wish you good night, and my goal is to always keep this program to 1 hour. And so we have seen a little bit, and I do not wish to make it more than that. And so I leave you with the intro, which is also the extra.
Women should remain silent in the churches. They are not allowed to speak, but must be in submission, as the law says. If they want to inquire about something, they should ask their own husbands at home. For it is disgraceful for a woman to speak in the church.
Samuel said to Saul, I am the one the Lord sent to anoint you king over his people Israel. So listen now to the message from the Lord. This is what the Lord Almighty says. I will punish the Amalekites.
Jésus, par ton sang précieux, enlève mon iniquité. Regarde-moi sur les cieux, dis-moi que tu m'as pardonné. J'ai longtemps erré cœur rebelle, mais j'entends ta voix qui m'appelle. Au pied de ta croix maintenant, tout confus, brisé, je me rends. Blanc, blanc, plus blanc que neige, blanc, plus blanc que neige, lavé dans le sang de l'agneau, je serai plus blanc que la neige.
Now go, attack the Amalekites, and totally destroy all that belongs to them. Do not spare them. Put to death men and women, children and infants, cattle and sheep, camels and donkeys. 1 Samuel 15.